We are gathered here today at 439 New Cross Road, London, Southeast 14, 6TA, to commemorate the lives and the tragic death of the 14 young people who perished in what has become known to some as the New Cross Fire, and to others as the New Cross Massacre, the worst tragedy to afflict the African community in Britain since the Windrush in 1948.
Come on.
From the evening of the 17th of January into the early hours of the 18th of January 1981, the 16th birthday party of Yvonne Ruddock and Angela Jackson was in full swing. By all accounts, it was a peacefully, well-spirited and packed event with young people from all over London and even outside of London. At around 5:30 a.m., a fire broke out and spread rapidly throughout the house, causing pandemonium as scores of people, predominantly young teenagers, tried to escape through the fire or by jumping from the front window of the second floor. 13 young people, aged 15 to 22 years, died from the fire, and 27 others were seriously injured. The fatal victims were namely, Andrew Goodin, 18.
Hold up the placard. If you're Andrew Goodin.
Where's Andrew Goodin? Owen Thompson, 16. Patricia Johnson, 15. Patrick Cummins, 16. Steve Collins, 17. Lloyd Hall, 20. Humphrey Godfrey Brown, 18. Roslyn Henry, 16. Peter Campbell, 18. Jerry Paul Francis, 17. Glendon Powell, 15. Paul Ruddock, 22. And Yvonne Ruddock, 16. A 14th young victim died 2 years later, on the 9th of July 1983, after jumping to his death in a housing estate due to his post-traumatic mental affliction. His name was Anthony Burbeck, 20. It is noted that among the survivors, there are now different views as to whether the fire was racially motivated. However, at the time, it was widely suspected to be a racist firebomb attack. This, by far, will not have been the first in the area, as the London Borough of Lewisham was a notorious hotbed of National Front activities, including racial violence and arson attacks. In 1977, the Moonshot Club, where we commenced our procession today, which was then the site of a black youth and community center, was firebombed. That year, Lewisham also witnessed street battles between National Front and many African youths. There were also early reports that a white man was seen throwing an object towards the front window, and that the police had found an incendiary device in the front lawn of the house. However, where there is total agreement is with regard to the conduct of the police. We will address this in more detail outside Lewisham Police Station, but suffice to say that they almost instantly demonstrated a lack of commitment to investigating the incident and to get to the bottom of the matter, and assumed a role instead which smacked of intent to pervert the course of justice. The response of the state as a whole to this human catastrophe was callous and inhumane. It was normal practice in the circumstances that the Prime Minister and the monarch, Queen Elizabeth II, will acknowledge such suffering and send messages of condolence. That was not done. Instead, there was complete reticence. This also included the local authorities. Hence, the well-known slogan, 13 dead and nothing said. To compound the injustice, the media, the propaganda machine of the state, was as vicious as it was racist in its reporting, with no regard for the truth or empathy for the human suffering. These factors, along with a catalogue of irregularities in respect of the coroner's inquest, not only conspired to deny justice to the victims, the survivors and their families, it served to exacerbate their bereavement and human suffering, compounded by the fact that 32 years on, they and we still do not know what happened here on that fateful night. This makes it impossible for them and the African community as a whole to have closure to this devastation in our lives and to our community. It is in order that we should pause here for a moment to remember at this time all the families who lost their loved ones here in this place 32 years ago. We continue to have them in our thoughts and our prayers.
That's right.
Especially at this time of reflection and commemoration. We also remember their great acts of bravery that occurred in this place on that same night, and we pay tribute especially to the young persons who tried to save and protect others, some amazingly running back into the fire, having escaped initially. Paul Ruddock was one among many, and became the second child of Mrs. Ruddock to have lost his life. We declare that in the response of the British state, as recounted in this presentation, was a statement of denial of African humanity. In other words, they were saying to us that as Africans, we are not human beings, and therefore not worthy of a humane response and human treatment. Insofar as there has been no public inquiry into the conduct of the police, evidently involving unlawful misconduct, resulting in their failure to properly investigate this incident, and despite repeated calls over the past 3 decades for such an inquiry, the state continues to say to Africans in the UK that we are not human beings.
That's right.
As we gather here in remembrance of those who lost their lives in their tender years, we do so also as a statement of validation an affirmation of the humanity of the 14 young fatal victims of the New Cross massacre, the surviving victims and their families, and in a broader sense, the humanity of the us as African people. We declare as we stand here that we will not allow the state to have the last word on this human tragedy and its denial yet again of justice to African people and the further violation of our human rights. We declare as we stand here that the blood of the 14 young people who died here on that tragic night will not be shed in vain, but it will water the soil of a cultural renaissance as the nucleus of a liberation movement that will restore human rights and justice for our people and the rights to determine our own destiny again. We will pour libations to the spirit of our young people. And our Lord.